Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmates. I am Ms. Lucilian together with my group mates from Group 3. So today, we are going to share to you about the similarities and differences of the respondents from the survey we had. We asked some ICT managers, teachers, and students. So we are also going to share our presentation on what we have gathered. Information and Communications Technology, or the ICT. Schools use a diverse set of ICT tools to communicate, create, disseminate, store, and manage information. New technologies have become central to the lives of every individual in this planet. Whether you are talking on the phone, sending an electronic mail, going to the bank, using the library, watching news on television, going to the doctor, catching a flight, or seeing a movie, you are using ICT. Everything that we use now is more on technology, or the devices we use, especially in school, are form of technology. So there are minor misuse of ICT. In school, some minor misuse made by learners include the following: copying information into assignment and failing to acknowledge the source, or the plagiarism and copyright infringement. Next, downloading materials not relevant to the studies. Misconduct associated with subject logins, such as using someone else's password or leaving a mobile phone turned on during class period. Next is unauthorized taking of pictures or images with mobile phone camera or still moving.
A safety take care not only of internet technologies but also of electronic communications via mobile phones, games consoles, and wireless technology. So this means that everything that has involved technology is because with this we can communicate each other through via phones or with these internet technologies. It highlights the need to educate children and young people about the benefits, risks, and responsibilities of using information technology. So with this, it also benefits the risk and responsibilities of the children of using the technology, and it is helpful for them to create and learn something about how to use the technology with the A safety rules. Here are some issues of A safety. A safety helps safeguard children and young people in the digital world. So A safety helps the children who uses the technology and the internet. A safety emphasizes learning to understand and new technologies in a positive way. So the positive way in this section is, or in this topic, is the guidelines and responsibilities as a user of the technology. A safety educates children about the risks as well as the benefits so we can feel confident online. So, in this case, the A safety helps to feel us confident online and have the courage to face the people with our guidelines and rules. A safety supports young learners and adults to develop safer online behaviors both in and out of school. So with this, A safety teaches how to use the technology in a positive way and to be secure and to have a discipline within yourself both in and out of the school. So that would be all for the A safety.
Okay, I am Dan Anthony, and let's move on to the responses of the respondents that we interviewed last week through online. And I am responsible to present the question number one and two. So let's start with question number one. Question number one: do you have an ICT facility in the school? What composes this facility? So here are the responses of ICT manager, students, and teachers. So let's start with ICT manager. So yes, composes of desktop, laptop, internet, modems, and internet. Our facility consists of a set of workstations connected to a server, air-conditioned computer laboratories in school, number of computer units connected to the internet, and a number of tablets are also available for employee or student use. While the responses of students, it composes of computers, printers, and school supplies. It mainly composed of routers, Ethernet cables, printers, projectors that are used for presentation or discussion, adapters, and also table. While the responses of teacher, yes, we have an ICT facility in school, so composed of teachers, principal, learners, and ICT coordinators. Also, it contains two existing computer laboratories with 20 plus computer stations. It also has a server for internet access. So, set of computers, routers, and internet provider. So, let's move on to question number 2. Who are allowed to use the facility? So, the responses of ICT manager, office personnels only. All are allowed to use the facility as long as it is related to IT, and faculties can access it anytime they want to. All the students and teachers are allowed to use the facility. While the student responses, teacher and the students or trustee students are allowed to use the facility. Students that study programming and faculties assign student to access the facility. While the teacher responses, the teachers, learners, principals, and even our stakeholders, the laboratory is only available to faculty. Students must be accompanied by an instructor. School personnel wishing to use the laboratory must first obtain authorization from the teacher. Lastly, teachers and students.
For question number 3, what are policy, guidelines, and rules in the use of the facility? For the response of ICT managers, they said that use it for work purpose only, take care of our computer equipment in our IT lab. The use of the computer unit is only intended for educational purposes. Taking in food and drinks is prohibited. The logging in and out must observe the right procedures not to destroy the computer unit. Users must log in the logbook for monitoring purposes. Make sure that the doors are locked upon entering the computer laboratory to maintain the needed laboratory atmosphere, and unnecessary noise is prohibited inside the computer laboratory. According to students, take good care of the computers. Foods are not allowed and make sure to secure the personal information, prohibiting bringing foods and drinks while using the computer, turning off all the electronics after using and cleaning before and after leaving the facility, and maintain the cleanliness. And lastly, for the teachers, use permission at least 2 hours per section. Students must be accompanied by their instructor. The computers must be turned off when not in use. No eating or drinking is permitted inside the computer laboratory. Flash drives may be used with the instructor's permission. The students have a seating arrangement that must be followed in order to track damages easily. Surf safely or log off. Don't change settings, and lastly, keep your files organized and work quietly.
Hello everyone, I am Vicky Sanchez, and at this point, I will be discussing you what are the policy, guidelines, and rules in the use of the facility. According to ICT Manager, use the ICT facilities in a minimal period of time. Log in and log out all your connections for other office personnel to use it. No mass storage devices will be allowed to use, and no internet connection will take place during practical examinations. Create one username and password. Make it sure that password is strong enough to get away from hackers. It is a must to check out if the computer unit is in good condition and functioning well before logging in. Double check if the connection is properly set. Make one's account private. Once done, be sure to have logged out to assure the safety of one's account. And according to our students' respondents, don't leave the computers on and don't share your information, and be more secure to avoid hackers. Do not bring any food or drinks near the machine. Turn off the machine once you are done using it. Do not plug in external devices without scanning them for computer viruses. Don't change the settings and ask permission to download. And according to our teacher respondents, ICT facility internet access. Be quiet and personal safety is a must. Students must only use the appropriate application for the class. The flash drives must be controlled and checked to prevent the spread of viruses in computers. Do not install any software that you are not familiar with. Better check the credibility of the software first. And the last one is, never share your personal information online. And after all, it's not about the technology, but it's all about the people. Thank you.
Now, here are some evidences from the respondents from the ICT manager, teachers, and students.
Good day, everyone. I'm Ronald Jan P. Esclamado, and I'm here to discuss the similarities and difference of the answers of our respondents. So in the very first question, usual responses that are similar are computers, desktops, printers, cables, adapters, projectors, routers, internet providers, and servers with internet access. And in the difference, while the different response from teachers and managers include not only the actual things in the facility, but also they include the people. Also in workstations, they emphasize that the working stations of faculty in ICT and students are separated. In question number 2, the similarities are all are allowed to use the facility as long as it is related to IT, and faculties can access it anytime they want to. All the students and teachers are allowed to use the facility, and any other school personnel wishing to use the laboratory must first obtain permission from the teacher or instructor in charge. In question number 2, however, school personnel must first obtain authorization from the teacher. In some cases, students must be accompanied by an instructor. For question number 3, most of the responses have the same points and ideas because they are all pertaining to maintenance, like taking care of computer equipments in our IT lab, turning off all the equipment after using, and cleaning before and after leaving the facility. The use of computer units is only intended for educational purposes and used for work purposes only. All for proper actions inside the facility in order to maintain order. For question number 4, in this section, most of the general e-rules are similar. In fact, they have the same concerns and concepts. It is all about being mindful of our personal information privacy, pertaining to security from hackers, viruses, malfunctions, and internet troubles, and also for the safety of the whole facility equipment, avoid damage, and to avoid any serious defections or damage.